And we are live. Hello, everyone. I am so glad to have you join us tonight. And I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like you're cleaning all the time and your house is always a mess? I mean, you clean and you clean, but you feel like nothing ever changes. Well, you're not alone. So many homemakers have this same feeling that, I'm cleaning and I'm trying to be a good homemaker. I'm trying to be a good home cleaner, but I don't know what happens. And what I realize is that they don't have a system in place. So tonight, we're going to break it down and we're going to talk to you about how to create a system, a homemaking routine, a system that actually works for you. And as often, I am joined by my YouTube sister from another Mr. Miss Leona from Ebony, Ivy, and Time. And together, we are going to help you create a homemaking routine that works for you. Now, listen, between the two of us, we got 100 years of homemaking experience. I'm not trying to say we 100 years old, but we've both been married, over 45 years. And so we've got about 100 years of homemaking experience. And of course, we were trying to do a little bit of stuff, before we actually got married. So, and before we get started, tell us if you've ever had that feeling. Tell us in the chat if you're on live and if you're on the replay, let us know if you've ever had that feeling that I've worked all day and I don't see much different. Leon, have you ever felt like that?
Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many days, especially at the beginning, because, oh, I tell you what, it seems like we married 1 year. We, before just before the anniversary, I think a matter of a few weeks, a couple of weeks, we had a new baby. And, the anniversary came. And I mean, I was a child myself trying to figure it all out. And so I was pretty stressed at that point. Plus I was working every day. So it's hard finding your rhythm.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. And it is really hard finding your rhythm. And I will admit, I like you said, I was a child myself, but you know what? I was 21. But if we think back, like back in the day,
Mhm.
girls got married at 16 and 17 right out of high school, so it wasn't like we were that young, but we were young enough. And I tell you, our first babies were twins. So, and
Oh,
then, yes, I was just like,
oh.
we had twins, and then we were both seniors in college.
Mhm.
We didn't know what we were doing with those babies.
Mm-mm.
My mother came and she stayed for 2 weeks, but then she had to go back home because, I had younger siblings at home.
Mhm.
And I believe I took them babies to the doctor every week with a question because there was
Mhm.
something that I didn't know what to do about.
Mhm.
So, yes, I have certainly had that. And then as they got older, I couldn't seem to figure out how to stay on top of the things I needed to do with them and keep
Mhm.
the house clean. My house
Mhm.
was rarely ready for company when I was a young homemaker.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And my mother was a clean freak.
Mhm.
And I can say this now without crying, but she came one day unexpected with to see the baby. And that particular day, I mean, it was just the awfulest day. The baby had been up all night. I had been up all night. And so we were both a wreck. She walks in. Not only did she come, I was okay with her coming. She brought someone with her.
Oh,
I kid you not. I was livid, hurt, cried. I went in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. Took the baby with me. We were in there, and she's knocking on the door. What in the world? I was a basket case, and I said, I can't believe you brought somebody with you. I mean, the baby was only maybe 2 weeks old.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I was devastated.
those early days are hard. So, but we'll get into that in a little bit about that. But I've
Mhm.
had those days and I've since improved with that. But let's look over here and say hello. We'll see who's with us and we can say a few um, good evenings and that kind of thing. So, hey, Ann, glad to have you with us. It is nice to have you here. And then Linda, I'm glad you're here. And then there's Michelle. And randomly, Rhonda is back again too. So good to have you with us. And I think this is one of your friends here,
Mhm.
Rhonda.
Mhm.
And then we've got Michelle Peoples. So it's good to have you here.
Michelle.
And Kim
Yeah. Yeah.
and DJ Whitmore. So hey, everybody. And there's Hazel. So we've
Hey.
got a good little crew popping in here tonight. So
Mhm.
yes. Uh, and then Judy
Yeah.
and Nicola. She said this is her first
Oh.
time live, but she's watched us both on YouTube. So Nicola, I
Oh.
am so glad you were able to catch us live.
Mhm.
And let's see who else. Oh, Kim had a pipe burst on Monday
Oh
and
no.
unexpected huge plumber bill, spent all afternoon and evening with the cleanup, and she's exhausted. You know what, Kim? That is why when the weather gets bad, I let
Mhm.
my water run. We have to let our water run here. And I
Mhm.
believe you're in Wisconsin, so I'm thinking you guys will have
Mhm.
that same issue. I remember I was doing a live stream and somebody on the live stream commented about the running water, but I'm like, look, the
Mhm.
water's running because if we don't want our pipes to burst. I had my pipes burst once and my husband was not at home.
Oh.
I heard it burst. I heard water running everywhere, and this was in our first house, and I didn't know. I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. I didn't know what to
Mhm.
do. I ran out across the street, knocked on the door for this older couple across the street, and the older gentleman came over. He had to get his saw and cut the floor out under the sink to get under there
Oh.
to turn the water off.
Oh no.
And then, needless to say, when hubby got back, and I don't
Oh.
remember where he was at the time. I don't remember if this was when he was away coaching.
Mhm.
I don't remember. I just remember at that time he was not there, and I had to
Mhm.
get Mr. Lease to come over and help. And talking about a huge plumbing bill, yeah,
Yes.
we let that
Yes.
water run.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
could have the water bill than the plumbing bill. So Susie said she was 19 and knew nothing. I
I'm
was
with you, sir.
21 and knew nothing. And I thought I knew a lot. I was a nursing student. I was a senior in nursing school. I'd already taken pediatrics. I thought I knew everything. I didn't know sick 'em. So Kim says her house needs a complete deep clean and she just doesn't know what to do. Kim, we're going to get into that.
Mhm.
So just kind of put a pin in that and we'll come back to it. So Leona, don't
Mhm.
let us forget to come back to
Okay.
that. And then Teresa is saying to taking a wee break before she either folds laundry or straightens up the hall closet. Teresa, don't take a break. Bring that laundry over to where you're sitting and you can fold it while we talk. I talked
Mhm.
about habit stacking yesterday on a daily live stream. And one of the ways you can get work done is to combine it with something else. So bring that laundry basket on over and work with it
Mhm.
there. And then Molly wants to know how to keep it all going. She does fly ladies, but some days life happens. So let me just go ahead and stop here and we'll come back to some of the other comments. Michelle will be next talking about when she was 18. So we'll know that's where we start. But let's go ahead and jump into the topic. So the first thing that I'd like to start with, and then Leona, you can talk about where you are with this.
Mhm.
I'd like to start with is with the 4 daily tasks. You guys know that I am a fly baby. I
Mhm.
am so glad that I discovered the Fly Lady system because it really has changed my life because
Mhm.
I know what to do, when to do it. If life be lifing, I
Mhm.
just step in where I'm at. I don't worry about what I missed. I just step in where I'm at and just keep it moving.
Mhm.
Or if all I can do is my 4 daily tasks, that's what I do. So now, one of the things that you can do is you can get completely overwhelmed with everything you've got to do. And if
Mm-hmm.
your house is really messy, and like I think it was Kim that had that pipe burst, so she said she's got a big mess to clean up, you
Mm-hmm.
can feel completely overwhelmed.
That's
So
right.
the first thing I like to say is take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a breath, just breathe, and then think about what's most important that I need to do. You don't need to tackle everything at once, but the first thing you're going to want to do is start with the 4 simple tasks that make up a part of the Fly Lady's daily routine. Now, what I've discovered is there's a whole bunch of different cleaning systems out there, but almost all of them have a form of this daily routine. And
Mm-hmm.
so this daily routine includes making the bed because
Mm-hmm.
your bed is the largest um, piece in the room. So if the bed is messy, everything else is messy. Like I have this futon here, and if I have this futon messy, it makes this whole office look messy. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to keep the spread on it just nice and folded neatly. But if the futon was a mess, you guys would be like, God, what's going on in there? So, so there's that to think about. The second thing or task number 2 is to start a load of laundry. If you start a load of laundry every day, it keeps the laundry from piling up. And a lot of people have trouble with laundry. So many people. I had one client that she said she had, well, 2 clients now that I think about it, 8 laundry baskets full of dirty clothes. Now, there's
Ooh.
one client, she said that whenever, if they got too many dirty clothes, she'd buy another laundry basket and just start filling it up. So she would just buy more clothes because she just didn't have time to do the laundry. And some of these young folks got it like that. Me, I don't. And then I had another client, and I was talking with her, and she said she had 8 baskets of dirty laundry, and her husband said,
Mm-hmm.
Babe, I need my shirts for work.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get the laundry done? And so I talked to her and helped her with the plan, talked to her every day for about a week to help her with the plan to get caught up on her laundry. I talked to her just yesterday. No, what's today? Wednesday, Monday. And she said, I got 8 baskets of laundry, but this time the clothes are all clean. So all we got to do is.
Yay.
So
Mhm.
this was a year ago when she had the 8 baskets of dirty laundry, but now these are clean laundry. So I thought baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. So there's that. So start a load of laundry. The other thing you want to do is do the dishes, and that can take a couple of
Mhm.
different ways. Like you guys know, I got my new dishwasher back. Got my new dishwasher. So every morning I'm unloading my dishwasher.
Mhm.
I load it at night before I go to bed, and I unload it in the morning. If you don't have a new dishwasher like me, I still have dishpan hands. My hands are so dry. But if you don't have a dishwasher, or even if you have a dishwasher and you choose to wash your dishes by hand the night before, you put them in a rack and you leave them on the counter to drain, then you're going to put those dishes away first thing in the morning so that
Mhm.
your kitchen and your sink is ready to receive dishes for the day. And
Mhm.
something that I learned from Fly Lady Cat, which I would not have thought of, she says, if you don't have a dishwasher, and you don't have time to wash those dishes right there and say before you go to work or something like that,
Mhm.
she says you could like buy one of those dish pans, those old fashioned dish,
Mhm. Mhm.
put the dirty dishes in the dish pan underneath the sink and just kind of fill up the dish pan throughout the day until you get ready to wash
Ah.
them. So you still don't have dirty dishes in the sink and dirty dishes on the
Mhm.
counter. I was like,
Mhm.
I never thought of that. But
Hmm.
do the dishes. And then task number 4 is that daily swish and swipe. Are
Mhm.
you going to wipe the bathroom mirror, wipe out the sink, and switch the toilet? So those
Mhm.
4 things you're going to want to do every day to get started. You'll feel such a sense of control. So Leona, jump in there because I've been just talking, talking, talking.
Well,
No,
I think you're absolutely right. Now, I have this routine. I don't necessarily call it the Fly Lady, even though I started on the Fly Lady. I'm gonna tell you, I started the Fly Lady when I was still working, and I had to adjust it,
Mhm,
along the way. And so I have to say, but I've stuck with the top 4. There are
mhm,
just certain things I found that when I make sure that bed is made, there is just something about having that bed made even as you leave the house. That's something that's finished.
Mm-hmm.
Starting your laundry, that's something that's finished. And it doesn't take but a second. Sometimes even at night, what I would do is to make sure whatever was going to run the next day, I would put it in the washer that night. So all I had to do the next morning was to hit go. So that
Mm-hmm.
by the time I got back, it was already run. I could get the clothes out, throw them in the dryer, get everything switched up and stuff folded. And it just seemed like it went a little better. I also, and I'm a nut about my kitchen.
Yes, I
I
do.
wanted those dishes clean. And that was the one thing I know early on. I didn't have, first house, didn't have a dishwasher. So everything had to be done by hand. So to me, even leaving the dishes on the counter for me still made it look cluttered because I had such a small kitchen. And so I tried to make sure that those things were put away so that everything looked clean. And of course, back at that point, it was an older house. We did not have a stainless steel sink. We had one of those what do you call it, ceramic sinks,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so you really had to scrub in order to get it nice and clean. But those were the things that you got into that process and you got into the routine. The
Mm-hmm.
swish and swipe was necessary. We only had one bathroom initially. And so when you only have that one, you want to keep it clean. And I actually did it twice a day because I wanted it in the morning and I wanted it in the evening, after everybody kind of finished up, got baths. I did it just right after that and kind of make sure that the bathroom was clean. But those are things, it really, the routine is about finding your comfort zone, finding a place where you feel
Yes.
your aha, because
Yes.
everybody needs every day an aha moment of
Mm-hmm.
where you can just breathe. And once you've accomplished, that's four things off your list that you've accomplished during the day. And that makes you feel good. Now, are you going to get to all the vacuuming, all the whatever, or whatever it is that what you have set out to do? If you do the fly lady, of course, it's so much easier because the tasks are small. But
Mm-hmm.
if that's not conducive for your schedule, then you have to do it your way. And so finding that sometimes is a little tough, but you just keep plugging. And if you can't get it all done today and you've done your four major tasks, at least you can check that off your list for the day. And you start the next day clean, fresh, and a new day. Give yourself some grace.
So, Leona, do you have a task that you feel like has to get done every day? Like for me, I feel like I've got to unload my dishwasher every
Mhm,
morning because if
mhm,
I don't, then and it's just the two of us, but we're
mhm,
here all day and we have
mhm,
almost all of our meals here. And I
mhm.
swear sometimes my husband has as many snacks and eats as much as a teenager, or is always looking for a snack. So the sink can get full of dishes pretty quickly.
Quickly.
And so now that I've got my new dishwasher, I find that I can rinse those dishes, get them out of the sink, and then get them in the dishwasher so they're out of
Mhm,
sight. And I'm just able to prepare lunch or prepare
mhm,
dinner or just do whatever I need to do
mhm.
without those dishes being in the sink.
Absolutely. I'm with you with that. That's one of those things. I cannot start dinner, lunch, or breakfast with the kitchen dirty.
Dirty kitchen.
I
And
want
let me just
everything
ask
put
those
away.
people that are watching us, the people that are our viewers, what is there something that you feel like you have to do every day to get your day started? Like what has to happen to make you feel in control? If you're on the replay, tell us in the comments section. But if you're here with us live, tell us in the chat. We'd like to know. And then if you could only pick one of these four things to pick on to focus on, Leona, what would that be?
Of the four,
Mm-hmm.
of the four, I would say probably making the bed's going to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
of making sure that bed is straight, because then when you come back in, not only are you looking at it, but your partner's looking at it.
Yeah.
And that's important. We have to talk about this from a wife standpoint. When husbands are coming back home, they they want to be able to see something, some progress. And a nice, clean, neat bed is right up there for them.
True. That is true. I thought about something you said when we were on last week. We were on your show, and I can't remember what our topic is for this particular segment was, but
Mhm.
you brought up Dolly Parton, and you were talking about how she just felt like there were some things that she needed to do for her husband at home. If the
Mhm.
people out in the streets could see pretty Dolly, that she should
Mhm.
see pretty Dolly at home. I've been thinking about that all week. So
Mhm.
thank
Mhm.
you for that little reminder. But for those of you who are watching us, though, so just let us know which one of these four, if you could only get one of the four done, which
Mhm.
one would they be? Let us know in the chat. And then we're going to move on. And one of the things that we really want you to think about is finding a system that works for you.
Mhm.
And once you get these basic daily routines down, it's time to kind of build more onto that, add
Mhm.
to that. But again, making sure it works, it fits into your life. And whereas I personally like the Fly Lady cleaning system, and Fly Lady is about small, consistent habits, small,
Mhm.
consistent steps. And again, she's got her daily routine, her
Mhm.
weekly routine, and zone cleaning. So now let me just back this up for a second. And when we look at the Fly Lady system, it's what Fly Lady Cat calls a 3-layer cake. And the first layer is the daily routines, which includes the bed, the laundry, the dishes, and the swish and swipe. Layer 2 is the weekly plan.
Mhm.
And on that, on Mondays, you have the weekly home blessings. So what am I doing there? Stripping the bed, throwing those sheets in the laundry, letting the bed air out, vacuuming certain rooms for about 2 minutes in each room,
Mhm.
mopping the floors. I delegate that to hubby,
Mhm.
sweeping the floors, wiping down the glass, but not running around washing all the mirrors and all the
Mhm.
windows. But you might need to wipe down the hall mirror, or you might have to wipe down the storm door where Kitty's little paw prints are,
Mhm.
or kids that have little handprints. Wednesday, oh, so that's your weekly home blessing. Tuesday is your free day. Wednesday is your planning day. Thursday is errand day, where you run any errands that you need to do.
Mhm.
Wednesday, you plan. And when you plan, you're going to pay your bills. You're going to make your grocery order, different things like that. Unless you decided to move that planning day to Sunday when it's quiet in the afternoon. You can choose
Mhm.
where you want to do that. Thursday is errand day. So are you running around to do different things? Friday is car and purse day, where you clean out your car, clean out your purse. And my purse could stand cleaning every other day because it's always a mess. But yeah, but it just kind of helps keep all those little minions out of your car and out of your purse, so it's neat. And if
Mhm.
you've got littles, they always are dragging things in the car, and you
Mhm.
have things in the car for them to keep them busy or whatever. Saturday is family day, where you have time to spend with your family, and Sunday is renew your spirit. So you either go to church or temple, or however it is that you renew the spirit or renew yourself. This is what you do on Sunday.
Mhm.
Now, for those moms or homemakers that work outside the home, you may not be able to do all this during the week. You may have to leave Saturday and Sunday to do all these other things that we do during the week. On errand day, maybe you might run some errands, drop off at the dry cleaners, or pick up or drop off library books on your way to or from work, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Tuesday is your free day, but I'll show you what we mean by that. And if you are payroll or you work outside the home, you don't get a free day. So that third layer cake is the zone cleaning.
Mhm.
Zone 1, entryway, front porch, patio, back patio. Zone 2, kitchen. Zone 3, main bathroom, and one other room. Zone 4, master bedroom, closet, master bath. Zone 5, family room, living room, den. Those places where your family gathers to just kind of congregate. So when you look at how you put that together, and I'm sorry, part of this is cut off. When I popped it in here, it didn't format the way I thought it would. But so if you look at your first layer for your daily routines, on if you look across the week, every day you're doing those same things, those first four tasks every day. Your second layer, you're doing the weekly home blessing on Monday. Tuesday's a free day, but notice you still got your four daily tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday's your plan day. Thursday is errand day, car and purse day, family day, spirit day. But all these things you still happen every day. Now, some people might say, you know what, on Sunday, I'll make the bed, do the dishes, but you know what, I don't need to do laundry or swish and swipe. And I tell you what, my laundry is usually done by Thursday. Every now and then I might have laundry on Friday. But
Mm-hmm.
typically by Thursday, my laundry is done. So I'm not doing laundry on the weekends because I got other things that I want to do at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Our moms that work outside the home, well, they're going to do laundry on, Friday evening, or not Friday evening because you worked all week. You want to have some time off a little bit. But Saturday and Sunday, you're going to have to spend time doing laundry. Unless, like you said, you could throw a load in before you left out
Mm-hmm.
and then to switch it over. I personally don't encourage that
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
because in case something happens and the washer goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had that happen, only I was at home. I had
Mm-hmm.
started to wash and I was upstairs. Oh, I was here probably in the office. I don't know what I was doing, but I was upstairs. And I went downstairs and I hit that bottom floor, that bottom step, and I went sliding
Oh
down.
no.
The hall was full. I had a foot of water in the hallway.
Oh no.
My washer was backing up into the toilet. Water was shooting up. You know when you watch a cartoon and you see water shooting up everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
That's what was happening. Water
Oh
was
no.
everywhere through the toilet. It was everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
my husband was not home. I was like, oh my God. Oh, he had a doctor's appointment. He was at a doctor's appointment. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my God, what's happening? And I'm grabbing towels and stuff. And I called him. He was just waiting to get called in. I said, babe, you got to come home. I said, this wash machine is blowing up. Water's everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
he quickly rescheduled his appointment and came on home. But what had happened was somehow roots had grown underneath it and had gotten into the sewage.
Oh.
So the water backing up wasn't sewage water. It was coming from
Mm-hmm.
the wash machine into the toilet, but still
Okay.
it was a mess. So it's like I don't run the wash machine if I'm not going to be here. Yes, I've been traumatized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at the second layer, you can see what you're doing here, and then the third layer is the zone cleaning. And so you do your zone cleaning 4 days a week. And I can't get that up any higher. I am sorry. Yeah, but you can see on Monday, zone 2, I'm going to clean the microwave because we're in the kitchen. On Wednesday, no zone cleaning on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'm going to organize the laundry pantry. On Thursday, I'm going to organize under the kitchen sink because I do that like every month so that it stays fairly neat. And then zone 2, I'm going to clean the oven hood is what I'm doing. None of these tasks take more than about 15 minutes. So microwave, laundry pantry, under the kitchen sink, oven hood.
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 minutes at the most. And notice I put the days on here when I was going to do them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all of this here, bed, swish and swipe, unloading the dishes and all this laundry. You should be able to get this stuff done by 10 o'clock. Now, as far as the laundry is concerned, you got to wait for it to go through its different little cycles and do its thing and then get it put away. But notice this is what tends to work for me. And let me see if there was something else I needed to. So when we talked about the zone cleaning, if you notice the different areas that we have here, this is the deep cleaning that you do on the Fly Lady system. This is the spring cleaning, so to speak. You don't have to do spring cleaning because you're deep cleaning all year long. So let me just get this off.
Now, one thing to mention, Denise, when you're looking at that zone cleaning, I know I still kind of follow that a bit, and I find that, especially when I was working, I usually got home say within an hour before, everyone else came in. And so with that, I was able to get dinner started. And while dinner was in the process, I was able to go in and do some of the cleaning that needed to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and which was, enabled me to save a little bit of time. Um, of course, if you have teeny tinies, then you might not be able to take your eyes off of them
Yeah.
during that time period. But for those who have children who are old enough that they might be sitting at the table working on homework while
Mm-hmm.
they're working on homework, then that gives you a chance to do a little bit of multitasking.
Yes.
And if you know that that's what you're trying to do, and then just, get as much as you can done each day and then start fresh the next day.
Yeah, and Molly is talking about she needs advice on how to keep it all going. She does fly lady, but some days life be life. And Molly, what I tell my young homemakers is just step in where you are. If
Mm-hmm.
we go back to if we go back here and you can see the plan that I have for the week, and let's say today is Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
and my goal was going to be to work on some planning. Let me get that off of there so you can see it. I was going to work on some planning, and then I was going to clean the laundry pantry. However, you guys know last week I had a cousin in the hospital. I was up at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital every day. Then I still had to come home and make dinner. I had YouTube stuff I needed to do. I had other family responsibilities. So I'm telling you, did I get any laundry done last week? Not much, because I tried to get to the hospital as early as I could so I could be there when the doctor was there.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got back home and I started doing some either making lunch or doing some cleaning or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
laundry was just not a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so this Monday, I had a lot of laundry to get started with. But what I say, Molly, is that you just step in where you are. Just step
Mm-hmm.
in where you are is what you want to do. So, Wednesday's plan goes by the wayside, fine. On Thursday, I'm just going to step in where I'm at. I'm not going to worry about that task that I didn't get done. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to go to tasks that I planned on Thursday. So that's what you want to do is just step in where you are. Leona, you want to jump in on that too?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, in looking at the plan, planning for me is going to be different from planning for Miss Denise. It's going to be different from, say, planning for Molly. Whatever it is, our planning day is going to look a little bit different. So it may be that if you find yourself running just a little bit behind, you may be able to take some of that time that you would have spent sitting and taking care of your plans and those things that you need to do. You may be able to do a little bit of catch up that day. And
Mhm.
even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, you may not be able to give it the whole time period, but even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, that's 5 or 10 minutes that you're ahead, that
Mhm.
you've been able to catch up with that. And also think about, Molly, you know I'm looking at what you've said, and it says to me that you kind of feel bad because you kind of got behind. Don't,
Mm-mm.
because every one of us that's looking right here, as well as those who are in the chat, I am absolutely positive that all of us have had a moment when we've been behind, and
Yep.
when life got to life and things got crazy, you
Mhm.
had to get caught up and or you had to do something. So I'm saying to you and encouraging you to don't approach it from the standpoint of, oh well, golly golly, I don't have to do it. Look at it from the standpoint, okay, I didn't get it done today, but I will get it done. And so just, keep
Keep
moving
it moving.
positively, because some things aren't going to go away. Like Miss Denise was saying, the laundry's not going to go away. She had a rough week, but guess what? We're still sitting there when Monday morning came. She had laundry to do. So
Mhm.
she kind of had to say, okay, dust it off and pick up the next week and get it going, and
Exactly.
be positive with yourself.
There's a few other systems that I've heard about. One of them is called Clean Mama, the Clean Mama
Mhm.
routine. And if anybody out there has ever tried the Clean Mama, Tell us in the chat if you've tried that. I've heard about it, but I've never used it. And it focuses on doing a little bit every day, like Mondays for the bathroom, and maybe Tuesday might be for dusting. But it has like one day to do different things to move through the house. That works for some people. Other people like having things kind of broken up. But the important thing is building the habit and being consistent.
That's right.
Building the habit and being consistent. And, James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, talks about that you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your system. And I thought, that is so true. If you don't have a system and approach to doing certain things, then you're not going to be as successful as you would like to be. So that's something. And when I first heard that, I was like, but it makes sense. I can certainly see where that makes sense. So I'm working on trying to create systems for some other parts of my life that I can be a little scattered in. So
yeah, sometimes I'm so consistent in one particular area that it's like everything else kind of goes crazy. And so sometimes it's hard holding everything together. But we do the best we can. We do the best we can.
Yeah, and then there's another one that's called the 20-10 method, where you spend 20 minutes of focus cleaning and then you take 10-minute breaks. I've not used that one either, but it makes sense that you would spend 20 minutes in intense work on something like, set your timer and go, 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 see how much you can get done. And speaking of that, Trey did a decluttering video yesterday where she set her timer for 20 minutes because she had to take her kids to tennis practice. But she wanted to try to get his closet decluttered in that 20 minutes. She got quite a bit done. Did she get it?
Yes, she did.
No, but she got a great start, and she says, I can pick up tomorrow where I left off. So are there other methods that you guys have heard of that I have not? You can put that in the chat if you like. And then there's something called the Motivated Mom Planner, where she gives detailed checklists of small tasks to do each day.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, Leona, I know that you have a modified Fly Lady system that you already talked about. So, for those of you watching, what system do you use if you have one? Let us know that. And if you're on live, tell us in the chat. And if you're on the replay, tell us on that. And then I'll go back over here and see what we're missing because the chat is hopping. And we were supposed to start with Kim, I think at 18 or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
Right here.
With Michelle.
Michelle, I was 18 and several states away from my family, and I had to learn it all. I was 21 and I was about 4 hours away from my family, from my mother, but from my family. And I thought I knew it all, but I found out I didn't know as much as I thought I did. I remember, Leona, my mother came and stayed 2 weeks when we had the babies, and I could not wait for her to leave. I could not wait for her to go home so I could be with the babies all by herself. So me and Will could just be there with the babies and, just our own little family. Honey, listen, my mama wasn't on that road an hour on her way home. I was like, Lord Jesus, how could my mother leave me like this? I was like, oh, it was terrible.
Well, my mom would come and she figured it out after she had gotten past that first snafu. I told her, I said, I need help. I don't need anybody to come in here telling me, looking at the house going, oh my God, what in the world happened? But so she would come and she knew laundry was my nemesis. Oh my God. And so I was almost as bad as the lady with the eight baskets of clothes, So it seemed like every time she would come, and she usually came on the weekend because she was pretty close. So she would come on the weekend, and bless her heart, she would do laundry the whole time she was there. But she liked doing laundry and she loved to iron. And so she would do laundry the whole time. And Conway was always so glad. Oh, I know Nana's been here because the laundry is done. And so, but it was, it's something when you first start out. We can laugh about it now, but
Mhm.
when my mom when we moved here to Virginia and left my mom in Kentucky, honey, this girl was in tears. I felt like somebody had ripped out my whole heart because I knew my helper was gone
Mhm.
and I was really left on my own. So, I had to pull it together. I had to get it. Oh,
So Kim said she's always been a clean freak, but as she's gotten older and then early retirement after a horrific car accident,
hmm.
she just can't do the same things anymore. And
Mhm,
Kim, that's one of the things that Leona and I had talked about earlier when we were chatting and chatting together, not on the
mhm,
live stream, but it's that you also have to look at choosing a routine that fits your season of life.
mhm,
It's got to
mhm,
fit your season of life. So don't worry about feeling like you have to do all the things that someone younger or someone that's more agile or with less health challenges has to do.
mhm,
You have to do what works for you and your family.
mhm,
And if you and your family right now is just you and the hubby, you got to do what works best for the two of you. Because I will tell you, last year was a rough year for me health wise. I had
mhm.
surgery and I had this and I had that. And so, bouncing back is not as easy as it is at 73 as it is when you're 53.
That's right. That's right.
So, you just have to create the routine for the stage that you're in now.
Mhm. And yeah, I saw that.
Oh,
Mm. I'm
Patricia,
so sorry. I am
I am
so
so
sorry.
sorry. I am very sorry,
Mm,
And this is certainly one of those times where life is life and life has certainly turned in a very unexpected way. So,
mhm,
Patricia, what you're going to need to do is figure out what do you need to do to take care of you. So,
mhm,
check on like what do you need to do in regards to finances? Make sure you check
mhm,
your bank accounts. Um, think about your insurance policies and different things like that. I don't know if they have a women's organization in your community that you could go in and talk to someone and say, look, this is what happened. What do I need to do to protect myself? Because there are some steps you need to take to protect
mhm,
yourself. So look into that, certainly. And if nothing else, go to your bank, ask to speak to an administrator, one of the
mhm.
not one of the people at the window, because you don't want to stand at the window and have to talk about all your business. So
No.
I need to talk to someone in the office.
Mhm,
And if they'll say, well, what is it you need to talk about? You say it's very sensitive. Can I please talk with an administrator? And then
mhm,
let them know, say, now, what do I need to do to protect myself? I don't know what to tell you, but I do know there are some things that
mhm,
you need to do. And from friends of mine that have had things like this happen, you want to make sure you protect yourself. So do that, okay?
mhm,
And
mhm.
God's grace and blessings upon you as
Absolutely.
you struggle this situation. Yeah.
Mm.
This corner of the kingdom. Hey, Kimberly. Good
Hi,
morning.
Kimberly. That's my daughter's name.
Yeah, I think this is one of your new people.
Oh.
And let's see, Cynthia. She said her mom, did that to her, brought an ant.
Mhm.
Instead of the daily cleaning, I started with dumping out the toy box and organizing it. They walked into a mess. Now, honey, I get it.
Been there, been
Yeah.
there. Just floors you. And
Mhm.
you would think they'd know better. They had babies.
Mhm. So Terry's here
Okay.
and Hope is here. People are talking to Patricia, so I'm going to let them do that. So Valiant says he or she is a TBI patient, traumatic brain injury patient with
Mhm,
memory issues, and I forget to consistently clean. So Valiant, what I'm thinking you might want to do is put reminders in your phone. That is
mhm.
something that almost all of us always have close by these
I
days.
have
We have
those.
these phones in our pockets, in our hand, somewhere close by. So on your notes page in your calendar, put a note in there like what
Mhm.
you want to do when. So yeah, do that. You got any other suggestions for that, Leona?
Yeah, and make sure you might want audible notifications or reminders. So, in addition to putting it on, but make sure it's audible. So it's
Mhm.
something that's really going to snap and help you remember. That helps. That helps.
And now I
That
don't know.
helps for me.
Yeah, I don't know if you can set Siri up with your phone, but if you have an iPad or something like that, or some other little device, you can set Siri up because my sister Siri drives her, or Alexa drives her crazy. And it'll say, "It is time to take your medication. Don't
Mhm.
forget to pick up Denise," or whatever. And sometimes she'll be like, "Stop, Alexa, stop." And I'm like, "You are yelling at that thing." But you can set the reminders up that can be audible, but I don't know if you can do it in the phone or not because I've not
Mhm.
tried it. But yeah. So randomly, Rhonda says she cleaned better when she had two children at home. Now she's empty nester and can't hardly keep it clean.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes the priorities shift a little bit, Rhonda.
Mhm.
It's like when you've got two children at home, they're like little tornadoes and you have to stay on top of things. But now that it's just you or just you and a partner, it's not as important. And the other thing that I realized too is that our priorities do shift.
Mhm. Mhm.
When I was a young homemaker and we would eat at the table, I had to have a tablecloth on the table. I had to have our
Mhm.
tablecloth or placemats.
Mhm.
All the plates had to match and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I find I still always have a placemat,
Mhm.
but it's just not as important. Sometimes I'll get out mismatched flatware.
Mhm.
I still want the glasses to match, but
Mhm.
it's like it's just not as important anymore because what I realize is that there are other things that make a difference. I realized my husband could have cared less about mismatched flatware, placemats, or whatever, but there were other things that he did care about that I learned
Right.
that you need to be focused on this over here and not how pretty the table is set.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah.
you, not for him.
Mhm.
So our priorities do change, and it's
They
okay.
do. It is. It is. And with just two people, you're probably not dirtying up the house the same way that you would when you had the two children. So the house probably looks cleaner than
Mhm.
what it would have. And so because of that, you're thinking, oh, well, it looks pretty good. And so there's some things you just don't do. I'm guilty. I have
Me
moments.
too.
And so you think, oh, everything's cool. And so when I get back to it, then, I'll go through and take care of whatever it is.
And Rhonda, this is her follow up. She says she's also helping to take care of a family member. So, see,
Oh, well,
Rhonda,
you know
you're taking
about
care of
that.
a family member. You're busy. You're probably
Mhm.
tired too. Because the thing that I realize is that when you're taking care, like when I was helping to take care of my mom, I was so tired at the end of the day. When my dad needed care, I was 10 years younger. So when my mom got to the point that she needed care, I was older myself, and I could really tell the difference in energy level.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think I'm going to show this comment here by Kim, and she says her first
Mhm.
husband and her children's father left her for her best friend.
Mm.
She said, "You do get through it. You fall in love again," and that she's been happy for almost 30 years. So, yes, you do get through it. Now,
Mhm.
notice she said you get through it. She didn't say over it.
Right.
And you
And
get,
she didn't say quickly.
yeah, you get through it.
Mhm.
And every day is going to be one step in front of the other. I also
Mhm.
suggest getting some therapy, going to counseling.
Mhm.
And therapy can be a,
Sorry,
that's okay.
fam.
Do consider that because it can be very helpful. And I'll tell you what, my husband and I went to counseling for 2 years. That's how I remembered. That's how we got started on Taco Tuesday because we went every Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
And then after we left there, we would go to Qdoba and because they had $2 tacos on Tuesday, and we would go to Qdoba and have tacos there and discuss our session.
Mhm.
And if it wasn't for those 2 years of therapy, I probably wouldn't still be married today. So it was very helpful. And
Mhm.
whereas this is not something that you're looking forward, but it did help me to learn how to address some things,
Mhm.
also how to grow through some things. It helped both of us quite a bit. So even if it's just you going, it can be very helpful. So let me encourage you to go. Now I'm being very transparent here because Leon, I don't think I even told you that.
No, you're right. But you
But
know what? With also too a suggestion. If you are involved in a church community, there may be within your church, either your pastor may be certainly have counseling
mhm,
background, or I know the past two sets of pastors that we've had, it's been a husband and wife team, and the pastor counsels the gentleman, the wife counsels, of course, the ladies, but which has been very beneficial. But also within the community, and this is something you may want to talk to the pastor about, is whether there's a possibility that there may be an attorney who may be have close ties with women who are in situations that you're in, or have good advice for people, or even sometimes there may be counselors for women who are sitting right there in your church who
mhm,
would not hesitate to go to lunch with you and just help you to kind of walk through, or even take your hand and help you walk through what
mhm,
you're going through. And so we've been fortunate at our churches that we have had people who are within the congregation who are able to do that. And they are very good at their jobs. And they are more than willing to help those who are going through some things. You'd hope that you'd never have to go through that.
mhm,
But I can tell you, I don't know of a married couple that hasn't had a moment. I don't
mhm,
care how much in love
mhm.
you were at the beginning, you know, there comes a point where you have to adjust to each other. Sometime it happens, or sometime you wake up and you find Frankenstein. And so
Yes.
and you find out that what you thought was honey and sweet wasn't. And so when that happens, or when he gets caught up with whatever it is, then you need help. You need someone who you can talk to, and certainly think about that. And so,
Someone that can advise you the right way too, because
mhm,
sometimes friends aren't always the
that's
right
right.
best ones to do that because
No.
they don't know, or they could be in a bad situation themselves. So
Mhm,
now they're glad they got some misery in their company, or company
mhm,
misery.
mhm.
So don't, and we're not trying to disown friends, but what we're trying to encourage you to do is seek some professional help so that you can deal with the various situations that you're going to be going through. And there's
Mhm.
more than just one, two, or three things that you're going to have to deal with.
That's right.
So if you're living in the family home, if you have cars, depending on
Mhm.
whose name the credit is in, and
Yes,
there's so much
yes,
stuff. There's just so much stuff. We can't
yes.
begin to cover it all. So
Mhm,
do get some professional advice, but I would start with the bank.
mhm,
Start.
mhm. You need help, and you need neutral help.
Yes,
Someone
that's
who's
what I meant
neutral.
trying to say. Neutral
Mhm.
help.
Neutral help. Too many times the girlfriends have gotten involved, and sometimes have almost blown it worse than what it was.
Mhm. Yes.
Hey, Tam, good to see
Yeah.
you.
So Teresa just finished cleaning out her fridge. Luckily, there were no science experiments going, but she has to make her grocery list for next week. That is
Oh,
too funny. I tell you what, I have found a science experiment or two.
yes, me too. Me
So
too.
Nicola said she usually does make a to-do list and then crosses off each item. And you like to do that,
I
right?
am a list person. Yes.
Okay. So Tutu says that they clean out the fridge the
Mhm.
night before trash day, and so
We
do
do
we. My
too.
husband
We
will
do
bring the
too.
trash can over here and say, "Okay, so what do you need? What needs to come out?" That way, I can get the fridge cleaned out, get all the old stuff cleared out. So when he puts
Mhm.
the trash out, the fridge is clean. So that's one of my Wednesday routines is to clean the fridge to prepare it for Thursday if I get groceries ordered in. So yeah.
Mhm.
So Hazel says as kids, they couldn't leave the kitchen dirty, and that habit has stuck with her to today. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
And then Susie said if she had dirty dishes sitting in a tub, they would attract gnats. So she has to have
Ah,
it
yeah.
done. Well, if you live in a very warm climate, that could be it.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Mm-hmm.
not done that, but I'm just saying that's a
Mm-hmm.
suggestion that Fly Lady Cat has given to some of her people in if push comes to shove. Now, if push comes to shove and I got company coming over and I've been doing whatever I've been doing all day, getting the kitchen ready, doing this, doing that, and now I've been cooking or whatever. Now I got dirty dishes. I have been known put all those dirty dishes in a box or a crate, have my husband take them out to the garage and
Mm-hmm.
put them out there. And then once I'm done entertaining, everybody's gone, I have them bring them back in, I get everything cleaned up. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you got to do what you got to do. Just get them out of the way so
That's
they're not
right.
in your way while you're trying to get some work done.
That's right.
And then, hey, Natasha, good to have you with us again.
Hey.
So let's go. Rachel says eliminate distractions, accomplish tasks. No
Mm-hmm.
screen, phone away. Make a list, check things off. And this applies to outside work and at home work.
Mm-hmm.
Distraction, yes. Oh, I can get so distracted sometimes now.
More so now than I did when I had the kids here.
Right. I don't multitask that as well.
Too many fun things to do.
Hmm. And then Teresa says she remembers pulling up a chair and doing dishes, took a wee break when she broke her arm. Then her little
Oh.
brother had to do them. Too funny. So now Rhonda says she gets easily distracted. She'll start in one room and then go someplace else. Nope, you stay in that one room till you're done. Keep your feet planted in the space.
My mother was that kind of cleaner. She'd start in the first room. Next thing you know, she's in another room. And before you know it, she'd have the whole house tore up. But before she went to sleep, it was all clean.
Mm-hmm. Then Tam says that if she made the bed, it feels like a big accomplishment. When they were kids, they couldn't leave the house without making the bed. So,
Mhm.
that's something to get started
That's a
on.
good habit. Good
Okay,
habit.
I'm going to go on back to our topic. Otherwise, we'll be greeting people too much. But let's see. Where am I?
Number 3.
Oh, topic number 3.
Hmm.
Okay. So, tackling overwhelm. And I think that's one of the biggest things for us to consider is where to start when the house is in a mess. And so, if your house is overwhelming right now, don't try to tackle everything at once. First of all, what you're going to want to do is assess the areas where you need to work and
Hmm.
then make a plan by breaking it down and then determining where to start. And the first place you're going to start is with your 4 daily tasks. You're going to always start there. Then you can choose one room to start with. So if you get your 4 daily tasks done, then maybe the one room you might start with could be the family room or the living room or the great room, wherever that room is where you guys all gather. You could start
Hmm.
there after you've gotten your 4 daily tasks done. You also want to declutter first because you can't organize clutter.
That's
I'm
true.
going to say that again. You cannot organize clutter. So you have to declutter as you go. And then once the clutter is gone, then you can start to clean and organize that space and then move on to another room. So, Leona, do you want to add anything there or?
I agree with all that you've said. And clutter, that goes back to those little clutter spots,
Mhm,
a clutter stops, as you call it.
mhm,
You always have those spots where it just seems like everyone lays things down. And it may be that you may have to, even if you are not the one who's doing the pickup, you may have a designated person
mhm,
and put a little tray there so that whatever goes in that tray has to go. And I know I used to do that with I would assign one of the kids, okay, at before you go to bed, I need for you to take this up and I need for all this to be put away. And so they would put it in the designated room for the person of whomever it belonged to. So that was usually a good way to keep that clutter going, and didn't fall on me to necessarily have to do.
mhm.
But clutter is probably the hardest part, I think, of all of it.
Yeah, I have to agree. And creep up so easily.
Mm-hmm.
It creeps up so easily. And I think I want to harken back to what you said earlier about don't be too hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself some grace, and then just step in where you are. Just start and then move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about making small steps and making progress. We're not trying to be perfect. So,
That's right.
Leona, what room have you tackled already?
Mine is I'm working on, you hear me say, I'm working on my dining room
Oh, mine
because,
too.
oh, Denise, this year, and I guess it's my age, I have never had such a hard time getting all the Christmas stuff put away. And you know me and Christmas. And so there are two bags that have been sitting. Now they're all packed and ready to go. But it seems like each week there's something that's going on that I have not gotten those bags up to where they're supposed to be. They're gone now. But once that was done, then I was able to really start to clean. And
Hmm.
so that just held me up. But like I said, I'm working on my dining room, trying to get my dining room back to what I like. And I like for it to be presentable. I like for it to be spick and span, even though at this point, with just two of us, half the time we don't even go in there.
We don't even use it either. My
No.
dining room always gets a hot mess because when I'm in the kitchen working on something, like
Mhm.
if I'm doing one of those shows where I'm pulling out all this stuff, like
Mhm.
10 top things or 10 categories of blah, blah, blah. So then I got to pull out all this stuff.
Mhm.
Well, then sometimes I'm in a hurry, so I just put it on the dining room table. So well, I'll get to
Mhm.
that later. And then
Mhm.
the next day, I'm doing some other stuff. Then I set something else on the dining room table. Next thing you know, the dining room table is full of stuff. So when I talk to Fly
Mhm.
Lady Cat, she knows that the dining room for me is one of my hot spots. It's one of
Me
those
too.
areas that I always struggle with because I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I'll set it here for now.
Yeah,
And then for now turns out to be longer than what I intend to
I
do. So you
know.
guys that are watching us on the in the chat or if you're on the replay, what's your troubling spot? Let
Yeah.
us know. Inquiring minds want to know. So now let's talk about creating that routine, Leona. And I think you already alluded to this earlier, but I'm just going to go through the steps again.
Mhm.
So step one, and I think I'll try to type them in here. So
You
step
want,
one,
or I can type.
okay. So step one is to assess your space. Like take a look at your daily life first of all, and what is your what does your typical day look like? When are your
Well,
busiest times?
yeah, that's true. I know we usually I'm up early,
Mhm.
and so I start my day, taking care of the top ones, making sure I'm dressed, making sure once the big guy gets up, making sure the bed is clean. And, it's so funny because now I've gotten him into that routine. And
Mhm.
so if he gets up first, then I do the bed. If I get up first, then he does the bed. But we always make sure that bed is taken care of. We always make sure the bathroom is clean. Making sure I handle the kitchen and coming down, make sure the dishwasher's done. Those are the those are the daily things. And
Mhm.
once I get finished with that, then we typically have somewhere to go. We're at that age where there's always appointments, and or it's something involving church because I'm pretty active with church. I usually have something going on throughout the week, and so my life, while it's not nearly as stressed as it used to be because I don't have an 8-hour job, but
Mhm.
I've got things to do.
Yeah.
And so, you start to work on that. And then I have a designated time that I come back to the kitchen to start preparing for the evening, to
Mhm.
making sure that dinner's on the table. So I still have a routine. I've
Okay.
developed. Hmm.
So then people, as you begin to create your routine, look at your daily life and think about what household tasks might stress you out the most.
Hmm.
And think about, okay, so what do we need to do to make sure that things happen? Identify your high traffic areas. So when you're looking at your high traffic areas, these are the areas that get the most use. Places like your kitchen, your living room, your entryway, and the bathrooms. And these are some of the areas that you're going to prioritize for daily maintenance. So when you look at those at those four tasks, the swish and swipe, that includes the bathroom. And then in addition to that, making your bed, those kinds of things. And then the dishes, those include two of the four tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is you want to think about what areas do you need to make sure is taken care of so that you feel most in control. For me,
That's
if
true.
my kitchen is under control, I feel pretty good. I don't like it if the bedroom's a mess, but I can get over it if I need to. But I need
Mhm.
my kitchen to be under control. I need my kitchen clean, my sink clean. I need that done. I just feel more in control when that's done. And then the other thing is to think about what are those low traffic areas? Like, for example, what are those areas that you very rarely use? For us, we don't use the dining room much, or we really don't use the living room much. I do my yoga in the living room. That's about all I do in there. Sometimes I'll sit in there and talk on the phone or read a book. But, and the same thing goes for the dining room. Even at holiday time now, most people don't sit in there. They'll come in the kitchen or they'll take a tray and go into the family room. So it's a very unused space. So when
Mhm.
you're looking at setting your priorities and creating a routine, you can relegate those areas to taking care of them infrequently.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is where zone cleaning helps me out though, because with zone cleaning, and I'm just going to show you again what goes on with zone cleaning. So when you're looking at zone cleaning, you've got just about every area of your home included. So zone 1, entryway, front porch, patio, back patio. Zone 2, kitchen. Zone 3, main bath and one other room. Zone 4, master bath, master bedroom and those areas. Zone 5, your family gathering spaces. So Zone 1, you take care of week 1. Zone 2, week 2. Zone 3, week 3. Zone 4, week 4. Zone 5, week 5. And some days you get a whole week in the zone, some days you get one day in the zone. But
Mhm.
as you can see, that zone comes around every week. And so you can look at it from that perspective. You're going to get to every room in your house every month.
Mhm.
Now, some
Mhm.
people don't like this method because they want to touch every room every week.
Mhm.
But if you're staying on top of things, you wouldn't necessarily have to touch every room. Now, that might be
Mhm.
some rooms you think, okay, I need to touch this room every day. But
Mhm.
other rooms, it may not be. So that's something that, I want you to think about. What are your thoughts on that, Lee?
I think so too. Now, I am we have a glass um, door
Mm-hmm.
and in the entry, and so because of that, the glass has to get cleaned. And so while yes, we're doing the entry, once officially once a month, all the, to deep clean it, but the glass has to be touched at least once a week because otherwise it doesn't look as nice as it should because that's
Monday, weekly home blessing, wipe down
yeah,
all the glass.
wipe down all the glass. And so that's one of those things that you definitely want to do. It may be that all of the mirrors may not need to get cleaned, but where
Mm-hmm.
if people are coming into your house, those, as we would call it, the high traffic areas are. And
Mm-hmm.
high traffic to me are, of course, are going to be those that you're in and out of, but it's also going to be if somebody drops by your house, what are they going to see? And
Mm-hmm.
so those are going to be the ones that you're going to want to do a quick wipe to make sure that they look nice. For us, our most high traffic area is the family room.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of those places where I'm constantly picking up. I'm constantly picking up, no matter what everything else is going on, but that's got to get picked up. So
Mm-hmm.
it has almost become number 5 of those top 5 things of
Mm-hmm.
top 4 things that we do. It's almost that number 5 because while the sink is clean, the kitchen's clean, we've done the 4 daily tasks. Well, my 5th daily task is to make sure that I've touched that family room because I know it's going to need something picked up, if nothing else, just folding up the blankets and putting them back to where they go.
Well, you know what we could for that, you're looking at your clutter stops.
Right.
Your clutter stops 3 times a day. So when are
Mhm.
you going to get those clutter stops in? Well, part of, and now Fly Lady Cat came up with this clutter stop. So
Mhm.
after breakfast, after lunch, and in the evening, like after your after dinner cleaning routine or just before bed, is going to be your last clutter stop. And it's just a 5-minute tidy up where you
Mhm.
look around and you put away things that already have a home. They're just
Mhm.
not there. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, that blanket needs to be folded up. So you fold it up and you put it on the futon. You
Mhm.
plump up the little pillows and put them where they belong.
Mhm.
And you just kind of get some of those things out. Like my husband, he'll be sitting down in there working on some task. He's creating
Mhm.
enough bobbers or new little jigs and things for the free world. And so
Mhm.
he'll have these things all over the table, and on his he'll bring a stool and sit it over by his chair while he's working on all these things. But and when he's all done, he's got little case and things that he puts them in and gets them put up. But sometimes I have to go in there and maybe pick up the scissors or
Mhm.
or move an additional pair of shoes that was sitting by the chair or something like that. But and then if I'm in the kitchen, I'm always doing something in there. So,
Mhm.
I had to put away that vacuum sealer for jars.
Mhm.
Put I made some chicken salad for lunch today. So I had to
Mhm.
put the blender, the food
Good
processor
job. Mhm.
away. And it was like sometimes I'll leave it sitting on the counter while I'm waiting for the other pieces to come out of the dishwasher. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
now you got to get that put away. Or I might have some cookbooks on the table that I've been looking through.
Mm.
So, we all have our own little things that we do
Mhm.
that leave clutter, but we just have to look around and
Mhm.
put those things away as, take 5 minutes to get those things put away.
You're right.
So our room that gets messy is it's going to be the kitchen and the family room.
Mhm.
Those are the two that's going to get messiest in our house because
Mhm.
I'm always in the kitchen, he's always in the family room. So yeah. Um, let's see. So one of the things that I want to mention too, if you've got littles, that's the true struggle because they're probably going to be wherever you are. So if
Mhm.
or where you can see them.
Mhm.
Maybe they're in the family room and it's right off the kitchen. And when kids play with toys, the first thing they're going to do, if they have a basket of toys or a box of toys, first thing they're going to do is dump it all out.
Absolutely.
So they're looking for one or two particular things, so they're going to dump it all out
Mhm.
and do whatever it is that they're doing. So when you do your 3 times a day clutter stop after breakfast, say, okay, we need to pick up all the toys, put them back in the basket, and then you
Mhm.
can choose something else to play with.
Mhm.
And just keep track of that. But just know that your house is never going to be perfectly spotless when you have children because they need to be able to feel free enough to live and be comfortable in
Mhm.
their home.
Well, and two, it's a good habit for them to develop that say before nap time, okay, let's clean up everything. Let's put everything back in the basket. And they get into that habit. And after a while, you don't even have to say much. You say, well, it's nap time. And you will see them going over and putting things back where you want it to
Hmm.
go. So it is about consistency and
Definitely.
doing it nicely.
Yeah. So, yeah, do it nicely and be consistent. And like you said, those first 4 daily tasks are already done. And then you do your clutter stops and then you do whatever else you need to do for the day. Okay. Let's see. Where am I at? So we talked about taking a look at your area and trying to decide where do you need to start, looking at your lifestyle to see, what's the busiest spots, where are you, do you have children, are you an empty nester, that kind of thing. And then looking at your high traffic area, looking at your low traffic areas, and then
Mhm.
deciding what it is you need to do daily on a day-to-day basis and what are some of the things you can kind of spread out during the week. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Fly Lady system is because it helps me to spread things out. But there are still some places that I do like to tackle on a day-to-day basis. And then it's going to be important too that you use your planner or your notebook to help you stay on track. So I don't have my planner, my current planner in here with me. Wait a minute. Yeah, here it is. Oops. So I might have some things listed here as to, like my top three things that I want to get done for today
Mhm.
or something like that. Leona, I know you used to use the B6 biology, but now you
Mhm.
yeah. So you want to talk about that?
Well, I have arrived. I finally got away from the B6 and I went to a happy planner. And you want us to talk about what we're going to do as far as the planning goes?
You can go right
So,
ahead.
okay. Well, next week at Life of a Home Cook, 7:45, we're going to be right here. Miss Denise and I are going to take a look at our planners, and it's plan day on Wednesday. So we're going to be doing it right here at 7:45. So have your planners with you, have your pens with you. I may even put a little link in the community tab for you to be able to go and to get a freebie before you come to the plan day. That's my plan to get that done. And so I want you to be able to sit down and we look at our planner, because sometimes people have planners and the planner looks at them, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak, because they think that because a planner is structured a certain way, and certainly, Happy Planner has a great layout of a plan, but just like life, you have to make that planner do what you need it to do. And so sometimes you have to kind of forget some of the things that they have in there, and you have to put your own categories in. So we're going to talk about that and take a look at that next week, and how you can tweak your planner in such a way so that it works for you. And it will be able to include those daily tasks, those things you want to do, a place for you to put it. We'll take a look at your meal plan, and also tackle adding in the groceries, along the way. And speaking of groceries, um, has anybody been to Aldi's the past day or so? I went in Aldi's yesterday, and oh my goodness, the prices are creeping up. I
Oh
was so
no.
disappointed. I was so I I I was disappointed. That's what I have to say. I was disappointed. I guess I was shocked. I know my husband was shocked because he has certain things when he goes into Aldi's that he's looking for. He goes only to Aldi's because he knows they're going to be a good price. And he just stood there like, oh my God, Leona, the price has gone up. And it had, and significantly. And so so I think some of the increases in prices are just now striking Aldi's, but they had a good supply of everything. That wasn't the issue. It was the fact that it was going to cost you more, and so I was really disappointed. Now, were the prices a little less maybe than going to the regular big box grocery store? Maybe just a tad, but not much. And so, which probably isn't good for Aldi's, because you think most of us went to Aldi's because they were so reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And, now their prices, unfortunately, are having to be at a level, unfortunately, that's almost the same as the other grocers. So just be on the lookout, because I was floored.
Oh,
So just know that. So next week is going to be plan day. We're going to work on that.
I'm looking forward to that. I always like creating a planner, so I'm looking forward to the list of things that you want us to get together so that we can
I will.
work on ours. But okay, one of the things I wanted to mention briefly though was like what can help as you try to create a routine that works for you. And one of the things that you can consider doing is order your groceries. Now, I know that's not an option for everyone, but I remember once when I had the twins at the grocery store, they must have been about three or four, and they just seemed to always be all over the place. I was always so overwhelmed. But I remember once Jill dropped a dozen eggs in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Now, today, that would be a catastrophe.
Yes.
But back then, it was an annoyance and an embarrassment and a
Mm-hmm.
cleanup. But it also was a stressor. It's like when you're trying to grocery shop and you've got toddlers or children with you and they're asking for this, that, and other, and they're climbing around doing this, that, and the other. If you can keep them in your cart when they're small enough and you don't have to worry about them, moving around, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to try to manage them as well as try to pick your groceries, sometimes it's easier if you have the option to
Mm-hmm.
leave them at home with
Mm-hmm.
someone while you go to the grocery store. You can have a little bit of peace and quiet and can get the task done and not end up with a bunch of extra things in your cart. So that's one thing that can help. But if you can order groceries, sometimes it's a good option. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've ordered groceries a few times and it did work well. But then there's also times I'm like, well, why did they pick this? They don't always get it right, but for the most part, they do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's something to consider. And it just saves you time. And then the other thing is that, like on errand day, like for me, my errand day is Thursday. I get my hair done on Thursday. Then any errands I got to run, I do those while I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to drop off books at the library, pick up dry cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
stop by and pick up whatever. Do those things while you're out so that you're not using up the time that you could spend at home getting some things done, running all around because it's going to be a good hour or two before you get back home.
That's true.
So think about that. And the thing about with the Fly Lady system is that errand day is built in, and I like that
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
When do you run your errand?
One thing to mention, I don't know if you've gotten down to it, and I just happened to see it. I'm down to Stephen Miller. I don't want to leave him out.
Oh, is Stephen here today?
Yeah,
Oh my
um,
goodness.
he is. He's so nice. He says he always, if you see him, he's down beyond Beshua. Hi, Beshua. But
Oh, there he is.
okay, okay. And he says, "Good evening, ladies." He always feels strange when he's talking on the channel because he's a gentleman, but he keeps house as well as working. And that's something. I'm sorry, Stephen. Sometimes I know we kind of talk to the ladies, and that's because there's so many of them. And but certainly we don't leave you out. And when we're talking, we are talking to you as well as anyone. We're talking to all homemakers and
Yeah.
all home cooks. And so I'm sure you have the same, you know, problems as the rest of us, just sometimes trying to hold it all together. And especially since you work and also have a house to keep as well. So I'm so glad that you are here with us tonight, and I don't want you to feel like I singled you out, but I just happened to see you, and I didn't want you to think you just kind of glanced over you because we
I
were talking
hadn't
to
seen him
everybody
yet.
else,
So I'm
and I
glad you
figured Miss
pointed him
Denise
out. And
didn't see you.
we say if you are creating a space to nurture yourself, a
Mhm.
calm, cozy space for you to be able to go rest, relax, and just kick back and enjoy life, you're a homemaker. So I would say it is not 1950 anymore. It could be you.
Mhm.
It could be you and your boo. It could be a single mom or single dad. It could be empty nesters, newlyweds, widowed, divorced. If you're creating a cozy and nurturing space, you're a homemaker. So you are
Absolutely,
welcome here.
absolutely, and you are welcome always.
So folks are starting to say hello to Stephen. So okay. Um, I think we mentioned ordering groceries. We mentioned
Mhm.
running errands. We
Mhm.
talked about the power of the planner, I do believe, and the planner can really help you stay organized. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
that. Hmm, they're looking at buying something, but I'm
I
not sure.
think we've hit everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a question for everybody. we'll have to in talking about the planners.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer paper planners, digital lists, or something else? I bought a digital planner this year. I have yet to download it. I've not opened it. And Mickey Blue Skies keeps saying, well, which one did you get? Did you open it? I don't know why I haven't yet. But so I got out this, this top three book that I had previously. I got that out because I don't
Mm-hmm.
have my other She's in Her Apron planner yet. And I'm like, okay, I need to, I just feel real scattered about that. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us in the chat, what kind of planner you guys like? You like pencil and paper? You like something digital? You like the happy planner? She's in her apron. What do you prefer?
Mm-hmm.
So now let me back up and see what people have been saying because we missed a lot of comments.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of comment.
Okay, so here we go.
Uses batteries. I'm trying to figure out what they're talking about. They uses batteries. Oh, I see what it is. It's Bathsheba when she was talking about the floors, cleaning the floors. And so she got one of those floor cleaners. And Tamia said that she has one that uses batteries. I think that's what it is.
Let me find her. I've seen her name, but
Um,
let's see. Here she is.
okay, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
she's
Her
a low
knees.
profile shower and it wrecks her knees to clean to help.
Oh,
Got some knee pads. Yeah. But
mm-hmm,
also though, get one of those little scrubbers that was all over TikTok and
mm-hmm,
Instagram last year. They're like on a little stalk and their head rotates around.
mm-hmm.
I even bought one. Haven't taken it out of the box yet. No.
I got one of those little hand scrubbers, that had you change the heads and you can go around and scrub the
Hmm.
shower.
That's what I'm
Mine's
talking
still in
about.
the
Actually
box
getting
too.
it out of the box. So Susie
Oh,
likes to use this timer for a stopwatch. Was
mm,
better. Okay.
okay.
And she uses the stopwatch on her phone or for Alexa. Okay.
Okay.
There's Stephen again. This is the extendable scrubber that Teresa was.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have to get that out. I have to get it out the box. My husband
You're
might have
gonna have to
mentioned it.
play
It's been
with
in the
that.
box for so long, he might have thought it was empty. So then Tamia wanted to know if it's one of those that uses battery. She has one, but she
Mhm.
hasn't known exactly what to use it for. Yeah.
Okay.
The one that I've seen, you can use it in the bathroom, like on the shower surround and on the
Mhm.
floor of the shower and all of that. Um, and then Teresa says her daughter, my computer.
There's a manual one.
Yeah, her daughter has a manual one.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah. So Tamia says that she got one on TikTok, but I've never used it. I think I ordered mine off TikTok too.
TikTok will get you every time. It's either that or QVC.
And then Susie is just responding to Patricia, saying that her and her hubby have had many moments and therapy probably was needed, but they have survived almost 50 years now. So I just wanted to bring that out again that, therapy
Mhm.
does help.
Mhm.
Other people are talking to her.
Oh, that's good. I love this family. I love this group of people because,
Mhm.
they are so good. And, Patricia, I am I have to say I'm proud of you for being willing and I'm humbled. Both
Mhm.
of us are because you were willing to share that information with us. You trusted this family
Mhm.
overall, and you were able to say that. And
Mhm.
the people in our group are very kind,
Yes.
and they are so good at helping to give you a hug as well as give you good information.
Mhm.
So Thank you, family.
Let's see. Kim said the plumbers had to cut hole in the ceiling in the second floor to get to the pipes. Yeah.
Oh,
Luckily,
no.
when our pipes burst, it was on the floor, but you had to go up on the second floor. Oh my.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a mess. And that kind of dust gets everywhere.
Uh,
You see where she's talking about her Christmas right under there, where she says she got realistic and have all of her Christmas stuff down to 3 totes. The Christmas
yeah,
tree covers them, and then she can put them. Ah, they get put away standing up. Oh, good idea. Ah, that's an easy way to do it.
I won't tell how many Christmas toasts I have, but my husband says they are multiplying.
Yeah, mine are too. Yeah.
So Kim says living on a farm, her biggest thing is to keep the floors clean. It's an everyday
Mm,
struggle. But they're probably constantly tracking in dirt
mhm,
and debris. And if you have any pets, like any dogs or cats that go
mhm.
outside and inside, that's a place too. So Michelle says her come on. Her office and guest rooms are trouble spots. They currently have her holiday decorations laying around. And your office and guest rooms, they're a trouble spot because they're not probably areas that you use a lot. So it's easy
Mhm.
to set something in there and then, you know, yeah,
I know, Michelle. I'm
yeah.
here. I feel your pain.
So I think we've covered everything. So let's just have a final thought here. Um, let's see. Let me get that off of there. Okay. So as we wrap things up, some
Mm,
final thoughts from me would be to start with your 4 daily tasks, your swish and swipe, the dishes, the bed, and laundry. Get started with those. And then find a routine that works for you. And you can create one, or
mhm,
you can adopt one, or you can adapt one. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can tweak something to make it work for you. And then remember, you've got to tackle clutter before organizing because you can't organize clutter. And
mhm.
then use a planner to help stay on track. And we're going to talk about the planner next week and just, do it one step at a time. So tell us in the chat, like, what is one routine that you want to get better at? And if you're part of the live stream, you can tell us in the chat. But if you're on the replay, you can comment below. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, choose an area that you can start in and let us know about that.
Mhm.
Let us know about that. What do you want to say to that, Leona?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think our biggest word here, in addition to, early on, I think the first Life of a Home Cook show was about our goals, turning those goals into eventually habits. And certainly, you develop the routine and eventually it becomes a habit. And so we're back, we're still kind of reiterating that as we go along, but helping you in small doses so that you can help get it done. And I think the smaller the dose is, it makes it easy for us and less stressful. And stress is certainly something that at this point we all need to try to lessen in our life, because as you know, stress is something that not only affects you, it affects your family, it affects your health, it affects all aspects of your life. So, we're trying to become more intentional in lessening the stress. And also keep in mind grace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to end with that because grace is something that we need to give ourselves as well as those around us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely great. So ask you guys what's one routine you want to get better at. So I'm trying to see if anybody's put that in there.
Mhm.
So Lola says she prefers the plum paper planner.
I've used
It's
that one.
customized to your own. This is her
Mhm.
third year. Okay.
Mhm.
And then Teresa, they shop for discounted meats at HEB and Walmart. I've been hearing a lot about HEB lately. That must
Mhm.
be a
I
tech.
think where is she located?
I don't know. More pencil and paper, Eric Condren.
Mm-hmm.
She's in her apron. So yeah. Okay.
Florence said, "There's
Hey,
Florence." Mhm.
hey, Florence. Pencil and paper works great. Yep, Florence.
Mhm.
Yep, I'm a pencil and paper girl myself.
Oh, Teresa's in Texas. Okay, so HEB is out of Texas.
Yeah, I was thinking so because Mary talks about that from time to time.
Okay, okay,
And then Florence says, figure out how to digitize so the paper doesn't pile up, which is what happens to me. The paper piles up.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And then Dolores cares for a special needs son who's 30 and she's trying to keep up with clutter as well.
Mm.
Okay. And Nicola likes pencil and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I thank you guys for joining us tonight. We have been on quite a while, longer than I intended for us to be. But if you found this live stream helpful, be sure to check out my video, my overwhelmingly messy kitchen and how I cleaned it up. And then also check out me and Miss Leona's 20 item capsule grocery haul. I've got the
Mm-hmm.
link in the description box below, and as well as the Atomic Habits, because I'm learning some things with that. And don't forget to join us next week when we join Miss Leona, and we're going to learn some things about using our planners.
Using your planner,
Yeah.
and hopefully try to get us a little more organized and ready to go. Thank you, Florence. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
All right, guys. So we will see you next week. Goodbye. Leona, you
Bye
stay right
bye.
there. Bye.
All right.